kids, it's Miss Jerica again. I hope you had a great week. This week, we're going to be going over our Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego lesson. We're also going to be making this really cool craft. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what's in our bag. In your bag this week, you have your color sheet, your fiery furnace lesson, your fiery furnace craft instructions, and the instructions for your plates that you're going to be designing your fiery furnace. You also have the part of your craft that you're going to color, cut out, and glue. You have a popsicle stick, you have a tiny little brad, and you have 2 plates. Now we're going to look at our lesson. This week I have a cartoon video for you in the description, and it's based on Daniel 3. You are going to read Daniel 3, 1 through 12 on the next slide with your kids, and after that we're going to read the rest of Daniel together. Now that you've read Daniel 3, 1 through 12, we're going to read 13 through 30 all together. Nebuchadnezzar was very angry. He sent for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, so they were brought to him. The king said to them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is what I've heard about you true? Do you not serve my gods? Do you not worship the gold statue I set up? You will hear the horns, flutes, zithers, lyres, harps, pipes, and other musical instruments. When you do, fall down and worship the statue I made. If you will, that is very good. But if you won't, you will be thrown at once into the blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to save you from my power? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him. They said, King Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to talk about this anymore. We might be thrown into the blazing furnace, but the God we serve is able to bring us out alive. He will save us from your power. But we want you to know this, your majesty. Even if we knew that our God wouldn't save us, we still wouldn't serve your gods. We wouldn't worship the gold statue you set up. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was very angry with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The look upon his face changed, and he ordered that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. He also gave some of the strongest soldiers in his army a command. He ordered them to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then he told his men to throw them in the blazing furnace. So they were tied up, then they were thrown into the furnace. They were wearing their robes, pants, turbans, and other clothes. The king's command was carried out quickly. The furnace was so hot that its flames killed the soldiers who threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into it. So the 3 men were firmly tied up, and they fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet. He was so amazed he asked his advisors, Didn't we tie up 3 men? Didn't we throw 3 men into the fire? They replied, Yes, we did, your majesty. The king said, Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire. They aren't tied up, and the fire hasn't even harmed them. The fourth man looks like a son of the gods." Then the king approached the opening of the blazing furnace. He shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come out! You who serve the Most High God, come here." So they came out of the fire. The royal rulers, high officials, governors, and advisors crowded around them. They saw that the fire hadn't harmed their bodies. Not one hair on their heads were burned. The robes weren't burned either, and they didn't even smell like smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "May the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be praised. He has sent his angels and saved his servants. They trusted in him. They refused to obey my commands. They were willing to give up their lives. They would rather die than serve or worship any god except their own God. No other god can save people this way, so I'm giving an order about the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No one may say anything against him." That's true no matter what language they speak. If they say anything against him, they will be cut into pieces, and their houses will be turned into piles of trash. Then the king honored Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He gave them the highest positions in the city of Babylon and the towns around it. Now we have read Daniel 3, 1 through 30. The next thing we're going to do is read our memory verse. Our memory verse today is Daniel 3:17. "If the God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire." On your sheet this week, you will see a bullet that says important verse. This verse is important, but you don't have to memorize all of it. I just want you to pay extra close attention. The important verse of the week is Exodus 20, 4 through 5. It says, "Do not make an idol for yourself. You must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the father's sin to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing faithful love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commands." Our lesson summary this week is be faithful to God no matter what. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's statue because they loved God. They loved God so much that they said, even if God doesn't rescue us, we will still serve him. We are supposed to love and serve God only. It says in the Bible that when we are not faithful, he is still faithful to us. God was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace, and he saved them. God will always be with us through our trials, especially when we follow his commands. Next is the most important part of our lesson. It's our invitation. What would be better than to lead your own kids to Christ? Ask them today if they would like to get saved. If you don't know what that means or you don't know how to lead them in Christ, then you can call Brother Jeff, me, or Miss Paula, and we will gladly talk you through it. There is also an ABCs of Salvation video on our YouTube channel if you'd rather not talk to anyone. Your child's soul is important. Jesus came to die and rise again to give you and your children a way to spend eternity in heaven instead of hell. All you have to do is accept. It's as simple as ABC. The next thing we're going to do is our craft. When you look at your craft instructions, you have all the materials that we haven't given you yet in your bag. The materials we have given you that you're going to need for this craft are a glue stick, tape, crayons, and scissors. The first thing that your instructions say to do is to color your characters and your flames. So we're going to take time to do that now. After you color all of your characters and flames, you're going to cut them out. Before you get to the second instruction, you're going to want to look at the paper plate design instructions. So when you get this, you're going to want to take your paper plates and you're going to want to draw this on your paper plates. This might be something for the parents to do. And after that, you're going to label your paper plates number 1 and number 2 so that when you read your instructions, the paper plate that says 1 correlates with paper plate 1. So there's no confusion. After you cut out and color all of your characters in flames, you are going to take the paper plate that you labeled paper plate 1 and you're going to glue Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego above the dotted lines. After you glue Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego above the dotted lines, you're going to glue your fire all around them. So now you're going to take paper plate number 2 and you're going to cut where the dotted line is. When you're done cutting, you're going to save the top piece that you cut off. So after you cut your paper plate, it should look like this. And now you're going to color the back of the paper plate whatever color you would like. After you have colored the back of your paper plate 2, you're going to write the fiery furnace right in the middle. Next, your instructions say to take your popsicle stick and glue the bottom half of Jesus to the top of your popsicle stick. It should look like this.
Oh no!
Hi kids, as you have probably noticed, there has been a change of scenery. It is around midnight and I was editing the video and I realized that while I was videoing the rest of the lesson, my computer turned off. So, we're going to do this while I'm in my pajamas at home. But I think we left off where I said it's supposed to look like this. So after you have your Jesus on your stick, you're going to take Jesus and place him in the part of the paper plate where it says no glue. And this is the part where it says no glue. Right here in the middle. So you're going to place him right here. And you're going to lay the paper plate down. And you're going to glue where it says glue on paper plate 1 and paper plate 2. Once you're done gluing, you're going to put paper plate 2 on top of paper plate 1. And you're going to press the rims together. So you press the rims together, and while you're waiting on that to dry, you're going to take this piece, which you cut off from the top of plate 2, and you're going to color it whatever color you want, and you can, if you want to, write the memory verse from this week on this piece. Once you have written your memory verse if you want to and finished coloring this, you're going to take the brad that's inside of your bag and you're going to stick it through the top of your paper plate where the X is. Once you get it through the top of the piece of paper plate 2, you're going to take paper plate 1 and you're going to stick it right here where the X is on the top of paper plate 1. I use scissors to make an incision right here. Parents, you might want to help your kids do that. Once you do that and you stick the brad through paper plate 1 and paper plate 2, your craft should look like this. So once you get to this stage, you can roll back the curtain, and you have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire. And now you can tell the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown in the fire, and then Jesus popping in to save him. So now what you do is have fun and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for watching.
When Jesus heard it, he said, "The sickness will not end in death, but for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." John 11:4.